All right, it's showtime. Hello, everyone. Today's conversation, we're going to be taking a look at Jim Collins' books, Good to Great. And more importantly, we're going to be looking at what he calls the hedgehog concept. So, the hedgehog concept here, it talks about these three circles. What are you deeply passionate about? What can you be the best at in the world? And what drives your economic engine? Hello, my name is Eric Coffie, host of the GovCon Giants podcast. If you're new to our channel, welcome. Welcome all of you who may be just learning about me or just hearing about me. We teach everyday people how to win extraordinary contracts here on GovCon Giants, where I interview the top small businesses in the world, bring you government contracting info for whether you want to start your business, grow your business, scale your business. We appreciate all of those people who, if you find this information valuable and this is a place where you want to be, make sure to hit the subscribe button. So again, I just want to do that quick intro for those of you who are going to be watching this later. Welcome, and today we're going to talk about how to start government contracting. And so this is for those people who are in your head a little bit confused about what it is that you want to do. You're a little bit blurry and you're not quite sure about where to begin in government contracting. This is the video for you today. So if you already have a business and you're pretty sure about the destination that you want to head, then this may not be the video for you to watch. But if you are confused and you're trying to figure this thing out and you're trying to understand, like, Eric, where's my place in the government contracting space? This is the video for you to stay tuned and watch. And so again, as always, I want to thank all of my viewers and we appreciate you all out there. Now, let's talk about what we're going to discuss today. For those people, as you are continuing to join us, we want to look at this hedgehog concept. So if you're not familiar with Jim Collins' book, Jim Collins wrote a book called Good to Great. And in the book, Good to Great, he analyzed 28 companies over a 30-year period, and he talks about some of the insights that help them achieve business excellence. And one of the most famous insights from that is this concept called the hedgehog concept. So while we're waiting for people to join us, for the people that are in the audience right now tuning in, let me know who you are. Tell me the name of your business or what it is that you do, the city where you're from, or what it is that you're thinking about doing. Because again, we want to make sure that we're targeting those companies, those firms that are just getting started and are, like you said, unclear about the direction they want to go in today. So now, what is the hedgehog concept and what is it about and where does it come from? So the hedgehog concept, what it comes from is a parable between a fox and a hedgehog. And so what it says is you can choose to be either a fox or a hedgehog. What would you rather be? And so it says that most people would choose to be a fox because foxes are cunning and they're sleek. But more importantly, the difference between a fox and a hedgehog is a hedgehog does one thing great, right? So the fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. And so in the parable in the book, what it says is that the fox uses many strategies to try and catch the hedgehog. It sneaks, it pounces, it races, and plays dead. And yet every time it walks away defeated, right? So the fox never learns that the hedgehog knows how to do one big thing perfectly, which is defend itself. And so it divides people in between foxes and hedgehogs. And I think that most of us would agree, right, that we are essentially foxes, right? So we're trying to do all these different things, and we're like, yeah, I'm going to do products and I'm going to do services. I'm going to do state and I'm going to do local, right? How many of that people resonate with that, right? So a lot of us are foxes are trying to do all these different things, and we're not finding success in one given area. And so that's what this is about today is how do you align, right, with that concept. So going back to the book and the hedgehog concept, it basically outlines these core principles. What are you deeply passionate about? What drives your economic engine? And what can you be the best at? The best in the world at? Not that what are you currently the best at? What can you be the best in the world at? All right. So let's talk about this even more. So going back to the hedgehog and the fox. So when an organization has identified its hedgehog concept, its leaders should devote all of their energy and resources to pursuing it. Collins argues that when the going gets tough, it's the organization that focus on what they're good at that survive and thrive. So number one, understanding what your people are truly passionate about, identifying what the organization does better than anyone else, determining whether you're good, where are you good at generating revenue? This calls an understanding economic engine. And then where all three of these overlap, the intersect is your sweet spot. So contrary to what we discussed yesterday, which was, hey, we want to align with businesses who are good at these things. This is for those of you who are saying, Eric, like, I want to start a business and I want to have my business be that economic engine that fuels, right, my life, my family, takes care of that. So that's what we're talking about. So by the way, I'm looking at the chat. So if you have any questions, comments, definitely drop it in there for those. I feel like I'm missing some stuff on here, but that's okay. Shell says, me, unfortunately, haven't been successful in aligning with one thing to be lucrative. I like that. So that's why it says, what are you deeply passionate about? Right? So again, now you may say, well, Eric, I'm not passionate about anything. There's always something that people find passion in, and it doesn't have to be work related. So for me, let's say you could be deeply passionate about people, right? You could be deeply passionate about teaching. So it doesn't have to necessarily be related to a specific industry. Does that make sense? So a lot of times we want to align our passions with business and not with things that we actually enjoy. So it's not necessarily has to be tied to business. So I see people thinking about, well, I'm passionate about the guitar or music or something like that, right? So it doesn't have to necessarily be aligned with business. And I'll tell you why I say that, because I have one of my podcast guests that does event planning for the government. But not only does she do event planning, she does event planning for the government overseas. So if you think about having a passion in travel, right? So she's able to align her passions in travel with doing overseas contracts of event planning for the government. So she's getting paid by the government to do event planning overseas, which ties into her passion about travel. Makes sense? So it says, find what you're passionate about. What gets you up in the morning? What keeps you up working late? Voluntarily is the key. Voluntarily. Then consider what your people feel most excited about. Again, we're talking specifically for people who want to build a business, their business internally, right? And so not for people who are wanting to do middleman. This is more for people who are wanting to build their own business, not for those who want to do the middleman strategy. So again, you may have 2 or 3 people on your team, 5 people on your team, right? Talking to those people. When you guys got together, and this is what happened to me. When I was down at my lowest point, and someone asked me, when I started my business, what did I enjoy the most? And if you've never heard my story, there's a point in time where I started government contracting, then I did some private work. I got sued. And so when I got sued at that time, this gentleman who I owed about, I don't remember the dollar amount now, I think it was $30,000 to, he asked me, he said, young man, when you start your business, what were you passionate about? Like, what did you enjoy the most about? And I said, well, I never lost money in government contracting. And he said, go back to that. And so that was that pivotal moment for me to make me change and reflect on going back to where I began, my humble beginnings. And so that's how I was able to turn my entire business around, turn my life around, because I went back to what I was originally passionate about and when I started my business. So I want you guys to think about that, because that's what happened to me. And again, for those who are just joining us, we're talking about Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, and the Hedgehog Concept. And for those, again, that are just coming on now, what we're discussing particularly is for the people that are just starting out and trying to figure out where to align themselves, and you're not really sure. This is what we're discussing. How do you find, right, what that alignment, so that we can start focusing on those things? And so that's what the book talks about today. So now Going into step one, finding your passions. Think about what do you feel passionate about in terms of at work? What gets you up in the morning, keeps you up working late voluntarily? They consider what your people feel most excited about, your team. How does that, the organization, the purpose inspire them? And then what motivations and values do you look for when hiring new team members? All right. Now, step number two, understanding what you do best. This is your aim, is to understand which organization can do better than anyone else. It cannot be the number one in the world at your core business. Then this should not be your Hedgehog concept. So again, you do not have to be number one now. Remember what I talked about some of you recently. Most of us are average at best. And I'm okay with saying, like, most of us are average at best. And so I think we have to admit that. Like, we really have to come to Jesus moment and say, look, you know what? I ain't never really been great at anything. I kind of been just like trawling along. And so when you look at it, it doesn't say what you are the best at. It says, here, I'll pull it back up on the screen, what you can be the best in the world at. See the difference? Not what you are the best at today, what can you be the best at? So for me, when I look at, right, the things that I've done in my time, and I said, okay, when I made the commitment to start teaching online, I said, okay, I could be the best at that because I could do it without money. I could do it without income. I go to sleep thinking about this. I woke up thinking about it. So it's like I can be the best at teaching people how to be successful in this marketplace. And so that quickly, that passion of mine of actually being able to do government contracts, was able to turn that over and say, okay, what can I be the best at? Well, I can be the best at teaching people how to do this in a significant way. And so it made it really easy for me because when you're reading books, when I'm meeting with people, when I'm networking, I'm constantly thinking about the type of content to make that makes this more relatable to people, that helps people to better understand some of these theories that some of the people who've mastered this industry have been able to articulate in a way that makes sense for the lay person, the common person. And so that's what I've been trying to do through all of my different content and videos over the last 7 years for you guys, is make it digestible, make it into bite-sized pieces, because sometimes it can be overwhelming if you try to eat the whole cow at one time. And so that's what I've been able to do. So again, right, understanding what you do best, what can you be the best at, right? Understanding what your organization can be good at is far more powerful. So it says, it's also important to know what your organization will never be the best at. Be honest when you consider those weaknesses, and remember that not being the best in certain areas is okay. Understanding which organization can be good at is far more powerful. So for me, and again, I like to put myself in the same situation. So what I've learned from my experiences were that after working in construction and doing various construction projects, uh, the smaller construction projects for me always gave me the hardest time. There's been a couple times in my life where I broke down and I cried on construction projects. And one of the ones was when I had to paint a wall. And I know it seems pretty silly, but it was so hard for me because it was such a small project that I had to physically manually do it with my hands. And because I'm not a handyman type of guy, it became overbearing for me. And so that may seem like a very trivial thing for a lot of people out here, but reading blueprints and pricing out multi-million dollar projects was very much easier for me to do and much better for me to easier for me to understand and to be able to deliver in on than painting an actual wall. And so I found myself breaking down trying to paint one stupid wall because essentially I had painted a color, it was wet, and I kept trying to repaint it, and I couldn't get that stupid dark color off of there. And so it was very difficult for me. But when it came down to estimating, putting up $800,000 building or $1 million building, that became very easy for me. That became within my comfort area. So believe it or not, right, for me, that became my crutch, right? So that became my crutch where it was like, okay, I know I'm not the best at physically going out here and putting up buildings. Like that's not my thing. Getting on roofs, I don't like heights. I don't like I don't like getting in those buildings that get risen up in heights. So for me, that was really difficult. But if you give me the drawings, the blueprints, the stuff to read, then that makes it really easy for me because I'm operating within my sphere of comfort where I can be the best at because I do understand the drawings, the blueprints, the plans, and things like that. So understanding what you're not so good at and what you can be great at makes a huge difference. So for me, I'll tell you another area where I'm weak at is accounting, right? So again, I have to have people help me with accounting because that's an area where I constantly struggle is accounting, right? But we all know how important that is to the business. Is this making sense? Can y'all hear me? I don't see nobody respond. Like I don't see nothing in the chat. I know I'm going in deep and I know people are just engaged in, but drop something in the chat if this is making sense, if it's confusing. I definitely want to make sure that I'm not moving too fast, but at the same time, I did want to make sure we got through this. Yes. Okay. Ashley White says yes. She hears me. Okay, good. Right. So I just want to say that because again, one of the things that I find from people that, and like I said, this is how to get started, right? So this is for people that are just getting started. One of the things that I find with folks is that lack of clarity. And so while Ashley's on here and she talks about helping small businesses, and we love Ashley and love what she's doing. What I need for you to do is to have clarity when you talk to people like Ashley. It makes it really difficult for people to steer you in the right direction, to give you guidance when you are unclear in your mind. And I really find that a lot of us just like we have a lot of turmoil going on in our heads. And believe it or not, people can hear that on the outside. And you could be the best, whatever kind of person in the world, but we don't get to hear that because of all the turmoil and all the confusion. And you can't really articulate it that well. And so what I'm trying to do is that help you to be able to kind of get some clarity so that like once you know the direction you're headed, then it makes it easier for people like myself, people like Ashley to come on and help you. So unfortunately, we don't know how to help you because you're not even sure what you're wanting and you're not even sure what you're asking for. When people are very clear what they're wanting and what they're asking for, it makes it very, very easy for me to help them. Like really easy for me to help them. So again, let's go back. So again, hold on. Sorry, I got the wrong thing on here. Dude, I have a couple screens open, so that's why I'm referring back and forth. But so let's go back. So now it's important to know what your organization will never be the best at, right? And I'm okay with that. Like so many people say that they do 5 things great, and that's impossible because the big companies don't do 5 things great, right? If you think about, and I just saw a TikTok on Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's makes subs. How many people like Jersey Mike subs? I love Jersey Mike subs, right? They make subs, right? But Jersey Mike doesn't make hamburgers. Jersey Mike doesn't make quesadillas. They make subs. That's it. So for some reason, we have this notion that we have to do 10 things really good to be successful. And the book speaks the opposite of that, right? And I'm very, 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 very comfortable. And what happens is, and I found this, the more success that people have, the more comfortable they are telling you what they're not good at. I see that the people that have less success, they're the ones that are more like, I do all these things. And the people that have more success are like, look, I'm not good at a whole lot of things. I'm only good at 1 or 2 things. Have you guys ever heard people talk like that? Right? Have you guys ever heard people like that whoever you admire and respect, like, no, I'm good at like one or two things. That's it. So they're very comfortable admitting what they're not good at. And when you get comfortable admitting what you're not good at, then people know how to help you. I always say, like, tell people right off the bat when I meet them, hey, look, I'm not really good at this. So if you're looking for help in that, that's not my thing. For example, products. I don't do products. I'm not great at reselling products. I do have people in our ecosystem that do resell products to the government. I'm not one of them. So we talk about state and local contracting. I'm not the state and local contracting guy. I teach federal procurement. There's people out there that teach state and local contracting. That's not my jam. So you see how I stick to like what I'm good at. And if you listen to more and more of my content, you'll hear me tell you, hey, look, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. We made a decision with our consultant company, Alchemy, to stop serving people in the IT sector because we weren't the best at it. And so while people want to give us money to come in and help them do government contracts in the IT space, we have made a decision that since we can't be the best at it, that we don't align with those people. So we turn that business away. And trust me, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but when you know where you're going, right? Then there's really that mission, that vision, that alignment, everything has to be in alignment, right? In order for you to get your 10x results. So by turning those people away, when you're saying, oh, well, that's money, well, but we're allowing the opportunity for the better fit company to come into our fold, to come into our mix. We're allowing the better opportunity for our current customers that we're serving to be able to capitalize on an even bigger opportunity or even more specialized opportunity where that might be some higher margin for the business. We're allowing that better opportunity for teammates who we want to come in and support us, subject matter experts, to come on and join us because of our mission, our vision, and our purpose. And so we find people that align with us. We get the best people that come in with us because of the specificity of what we do. And those are some of the results that outpour from that you can't really see now because you haven't made that decision for yourself. So thanks, Ashley. So let's keep going on this. And no, I mean, look, we've had to do all these things. Number 3, discover your economic engine. To have a powerful economic engine, your organization must understand how to generate sustained cash flow and profitability and express this as a single economic denominator known as your profit per X, where X is a single measure that you can have greatest and most sustainable impact on your organization's long-term success, right? So profit per customer, per employee, per location, region, brand, sale. And then step 4 is look for the overlap. So once you've looked at the models, 3 circles, you look at where they overlap, and that's where you find your hedgehog concept. A central vision that should guide your organization's strategy. And so then review and communicate your strategy, and then get your team members on board to new strategy. And then, it goes into making sure, again, everything that you do is in alignment, the people are in alignment with this as well. So I want to stop there because we kind of went really fast and I kind of did like a dump on everybody. But at the same token, I wanted to be able to get that out. So now what I want to do is, and I'm going to keep talking, but I'd like to open up for people to have questions. And as we continue this live stream, but I definitely want it for the people that are watching this later on that come on and get the most value per second. And by the way, that's something that I learned recently from Alex Ramosi, was to try to give people the most value per second. And so that's what I wanted to do. So that way someone doesn't have to scroll through the first 20 minutes of me blabbering and not get the meat and potatoes of what we're discussing. So now that way the people that come behind you guys that are watching this, they get the full breadth of what we want to spray today. So again, let's go back, right? For those of you just joining us, is that we're discussing Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. In the book, he talks about the hedgehog concept and how people are divided between foxes, hedgehogs. Most of us that are starting out, we're foxes because we're like, hey, I can do everything. I can do this. I can do that. And so we're wanting to chase all these different things. And the reality of it is, right, it's the overlap. The companies that have he studied that had the most success. It's the overlay of these three areas, which is what are you deeply passionate about? What can you be the best at in the world? Not what are you the best at? What can you be the best at? And then what drives your economic engine? And so for me, I can tell you what drives my economic engine is government contracting, which is why I come on every week. I make content and videos and I preach it, preach it, preach it, preach it, because that drives our economic engine. What can you be the best at in the world at? And what are you deeply passionate about? So last night we talked about, and if you didn't catch the live, it was a good live where we discussed, right, being honest and transparent and saying that, hey, look, I'm not the best at this. And I think that when you have that reality check, you realize why you're not getting so many phone calls back from the government or from prime contractors, because you realize that, you know what, if I was, you name a company, if I was Leidos, if I was Deloitte, if I was Boeing, would I call me back? If I was the DLA, would I call myself back? I think we need to have that conversation with ourselves, right? I don't think we do enough self-reflection. I think that a lot of times, and again, yes, I'm making generalizations, so it doesn't apply to everyone out there, but it does apply to a lot of people that I'm on calls with, meetings with, people that reach out to me for help. If you listen to yourself talk about your business and what you do, would you hire yourself? And I think that's one question that we have to ask ourselves. And so for some reason, I'm finding that we don't do enough. Excuse me, my nose is itching. For some reason, I find that we don't do enough of that self-reflection and the mirror to say, you know what? I don't know if I'd hire me, right? Because I'm not the best, or I can't be the best, or I'm not working with the best. And so what I'm telling people is that when we look at this concept, if we talk about what we're passionate about, business is hard. Business is hard. Business is hard. I think you guys heard me, right? So if you're not doing something that you're passionate about and you run into problems, right, then it's going to be easy for you to throw in the towel, easy for you to quit, easy for you to walk away. But when you're doing something that you're passionate about, like I discussed earlier, when you get up in the morning, right, this is something that you want to do. When you go to sleep, you think about it. What are you doing voluntarily? Then it makes it easier for you to stay the fight, stay right, and deal with the hard customers, deal with the hard clients. It makes it easier for you to play the long game. And the reality is longevity is going to win every day of the week. So we need to look at this as a long game and not as a short side hustle. And if we're truly playing the long game, then it makes more sense to do something that you're passionate about than to do something that you said, I'm just doing this for the money. Because when it gets hard, the money will not be worth it. I promise you that. Everything that I've ever done for the money, when it got hard, I quit. And I'm sure some of you guys I heard did the same thing, right? Like if you needed money really fast and you said, okay, I'm going to go cut grass on the side to make money really fast. As soon as it got hard, you're like, yo, it's hot out there. Yo, it's hot. I'm done. I don't cut no more grass. Maybe some of you guys sold books door to door or sold Cutco knives. I'm just saying, anything that you've ever done for the money, as soon as it got hard, you're like, yo, I'm out. Peace. Right? Because you weren't truly passionate about it. And so you didn't stick around and stay to see like, well, I read all these people that do Cutco knives can be truly successful. So I just want to say that because a lot of things that, even though again, I didn't make these concepts, I didn't write the concepts, a lot of these concepts, and again, you can look it up, it's called Hedgehog Concepts, and it talks about right? There's a lot of things. You can just Google Hedgehog Concept and you'll see it out there. A lot of these things to me are anecdotes that other people who have studied success, who've studied right sustainability over long terms, they brought these things back to us to give us kind of a cheat sheet or a some of a formula that we can follow and achieve the same results. So I didn't want to say that. Welcome, by the way, if you're just joining us now, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, today's lessons are for those people who want to get started in government contracting. And we're going over the book, Good to Great from Jim Collins. And in the book where he talked about the hedgehog concept. And so it's how difference between being a fox, which is having many different areas, and being a hedgehog, which has one thing that they're really good at, and then aligning those. So that's what we're discussing today. And so now for me, let me go in. Let me go through some questions. Let's see. So Ashley, by the way, she came on and she goes, Ashley says, after you use all Eric's free resources and watch his videos, we help implement strategy once you have identified it. Thank you, Ashley. So it's funny, T-Bar, I love the analogy of painting a wall versus reading a blueprint where we could be the best. Yeah, I mean, that's just been my experiences. Someone says, Chick-fil-A only does chicken. Every time I pass by one, there's a line wrapped around the building. They just do chicken. That's it. Chick-fil-A does chicken, right? And if you look up restaurants and the value that they make per store, Chick-fil-A is one of the highest ranking restaurants, value, dollar profit per store, per location. All right, let's see. Why not be able to use your motivation to build something you already know how to do, work with a major corporation, offer skills, later serve business, and make profit and use money? Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about. I really want to get people to the objective today is to get everyone to kind of unclutter their minds, make a decision, and go forward with that decision, right? And if you find that you are passionate about it, then you could play the long game. In fact, let me tell you, I had in fact, I'll give you a real life example. You guys, if you've not watched my channel, in fact, let me pull it up real quick. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up this video real quick. I'm going to give you another real life example. By the way, hit the like button if you hadn't already hit the like button. And then also, if you're just joining us in the chat, you have any questions about, please share that as well. So the other week, I did a video. So a few weeks ago, I did a video with Zach. All right. And so Zach and I did a video here as a consultant. And so Zach and I, if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch it. In fact, I'll drop it in the chat for those of you out here. If you haven't watched that video with Zach, I did a video with Zach a few weeks ago about being a consultant. And so Zach and I talked because Zach's one of our team members for Alchemy Gov. And so, and by the way, Zach is also one of your coaches for the 5-day challenge that we're going to be having. So if you haven't already, if you're not aware of our first partner challenge, Zach is one of our coaches on the 5-day challenge we're having starting June the 10th. So Zach and I, it's funny, we have our Monday calls. And so we were talking today, and Zach was helping this company, and they got their first major contract, and it took him 18 months to get that contract. 18 months. However, that contract represented that one contract that took 18 months from the government, 25% of their business, of this company's business. By the way, this company was already a multi-million-dollar company. This was not a smaller company. They weren't, I think they're, I don't know, I don't want to use I don't want to put any words in the mouth, but it represents 25% of their business. And so if you figure, let's say they're at $1 million, 250,000, if they're at 5 million, $1 million, right? And so it took them 18 months. So when you look at, right, okay, 18 months, right? But they landed at, say, a multi-million-dollar contract. If you're passionate about this and you're going to get up and you're going to do it anyways, if somebody had told you 18 months ago, if you focus on this, today you'd be getting a big payout, right? Would you have done some different actions back then? I think a lot of times what happens is we are wanting immediate gratification. And so we're not realizing that. I mean, I personally plan on being alive 18 months from now. And so I will still take big checks 18 months from now, even if I can't get them today. I don't know how many people are watching this that would do the same thing, but I will gladly take a big fat check 18 months from now. I'll take one 24 months from now. I'll take one 32 months from now. But when we are going into the space, and we're going into the marketplace, and we're going after these things, we're like, I need something today. I need it right now. I need it right away. I need it immediately. I need this. Okay. And I understand that. But if you are like myself and we're playing the long game, right? Now, that's not every opportunity. There's some smaller stuff that came along that way, right? But some of the major things that I've accomplished took 2 years, right? I remember winning a contract with the Charlestown Naval Yard up there and doing a Bunker Hill Monument. And it took 1 year for them to actually us to negotiate. Then they didn't have a budget. So then we took a second year to come around to actually get the funds because the money that we proposed was not enough to do the work. And so it took us 2 years to actually be awarded this contract, which we negotiated a year prior. So it wasn't because they weren't trying to give it to us. It was because when we finally got to the negotiations, they didn't have the money in the budget. So they wait for the next fiscal year. And because national parks doesn't get a lot of money thrown at them from Congress, we had to wait an additional fiscal year for some more fallout money for them to make up the difference to get it done. But I'm not going anywhere. So if I'm working multiple deals, right, at different phases, different sizes, and they're hitting at different times, then at the end of the day, right, I'm accomplishing my goal of building like stability in my business and my organization, right? So some deals may come in 6 months, some deals may come in 2 years, some deals may come in 3 years. But I'm not going anywhere. So that's why it's important to make sure that you are aligned with what is it that you're passionate about. Because again, quickly your interest will fade. You'll decide like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And now you want to move on to the next thing. All right. T-Shell says, I want to be a consultant for the kind of thing because your first partner challenge you have. Great place to start. Great place to start. Yeah, and so again, for those of you, if you're not already familiar with it, starting June the 10th, we're doing a 5-day challenge. And in the 5-day challenge, we're going to have all of our coaches coming on to talk to you about finding that first strategic partner to help you grow, scale your business in government contracting. So it starts June the 10th. And so Zach will be on there, Randy, Mark, Linda Rice, Marcus. And so we're going to be talking about, right, what does it take to find that first partner? Because again, if we're truly honest with ourselves, right, for most of us starting out, like I said, we're not the best. And so if we're not the best, we need to align with the best. And so we want to help you do that. Ashley White says, can you please explain to me what drives your company engine? Asking if it makes sense. Do you get them going to work? So let's go in and let me share here, right, what it says to discover your economic engine. Now, for me, Ashley, what I'd like to say when it comes to driving an economic engine is, for me personally, it's contracting with the government, right? That drives our economic engine, right? So we've since, like you said, 2008, 9, For us, it's been government contracting. And so for all my friends, it's been government contracting. While, yes, we've taken our monies that we've made from government contracting and invested in real estate. Some of my friends own self-storage funds. We bought multifamily units. All the money origins came from doing work with the federal government. So for us, our economic engine has been that. Now, have we done other investments since? Sure, we have. But those other investments did not create the money to buy themselves. So we had to get the money from another place in order to do that. So let me share here. Let me stop sharing and pull this up. So it says, discover your economic engine. And it says to how powerful economic engine, you must be able to understand how you generate sustained cash flow and profitability and express this insight as a economic denominator. So the idea for us here, right, is that we would like, or the idea between what I'm teaching is I would like for government contracting to be that economic engine for those of you listening, right, as it has been for me and my friends and all of my sphere of influence. So for me, Ashley, that's the reason why I teach this, is because regardless of what's happening, and again, I'm a federal contracting guy. I want to specifically state that for the new people listening to me. When I talk about government contracting, I specifically refer to federal. And I explained that in yesterday's video. But again, federal contracting, as sad as it may seem, they do print money. States and locals have to have balanced budgets. So they can't necessarily always pay people on time. They have to make hard decisions sometimes between whether pay the contractors, pay first responders, pay, fix the roads, they have those things to juggle. Federal government has continued to provide sustainability for Boeing and Leidos and Raytheon and Northrop Grumman and all these defense contractors. They continue to provide growth and sustainability in their businesses, and they can do the same thing in our business. So for me, Ashley, White is government contracting. So Ashley, what if your economic engine is just your job right now? So remember, this is how to start the business. So we're talking about businesses. So it doesn't translate to your job because we're talking about the business. So your question is, if your economic engine is just your job, then it's hard to translate the diagram when your economic engine is your job, because the purpose of this is your business. So for you, then really you don't have the diagram. You have, hold on, because you don't have an economic engine. So, right, it doesn't make sense. So you have two of the three circles. So you have, what are you deeply passionate about, and what can you be the best in the world at? So for me, Ashley White, what I would say is, based on what you're deeply passionate about and what you could be the best in the world at, let's see if government contracting overlaps in those other two circles. So if I were you, I would see if, in fact, federal government contract overlaps in those other two circles. It may not, by the way. It may not. Because even though we all say the government buys everything, there are some things they don't buy, right? So there are some things that are consumer items that the government may buy, but they may not buy sufficient quantity to make it a business proposition. Does that make sense, Ashley? And by the way, thank you for asking those questions. Thank you for being brave, because I'm sure somebody else listening has the same questions, but they're afraid to ask it. All right, Dennis White says, what I need to do the 5-day challenge? Just head over to firstpartnerchallenge.com and sign up. Here's the link. I'll drop it in there. Just head over to firstpartnerchallenge.com and sign up. That's the link in the chat. Questions, comments? It's right there. Firstpartnerchallenge.com and sign up. There's a link. Questions, comments? Again, Oh, hold on, wait. I see Jenny J has a comment, question. Uh, Eric, can less experienced prime contract partner with experienced businesses on government contract, and will the 5-day challenge cover this? So again, um, less experienced primes can partner with experienced businesses. Absolutely. Uh-oh. Sorry, I don't know what happened. It gave me the thumbs up some kind of way on my screen. Yes. So Jenny J, less experienced prime contractors, right? You can partner with experienced businesses. And that is the point of finding a strategic partner. And yes, that is what we go over in the 5-day challenge. However, Jenny J, I will caveat that with saying if you are a prime contractor, you need our course to teach you how to be able to actually be a better prime contractor. The 5-day challenge is part of the course. So when you buy, you can, you get that. However, the 5-day challenge really is for people, helping them find that strategic partner, but it doesn't teach you government contracting. So I want to say that because government contract is a very intricate field and there's a lots of things to cover. And so we can't teach that in 5 days. The idea is to teach you how to find strategic partners so that those are the people that you can be the best at, right? Even if you're not the best at something, that company, that entity, this is where they can be the best in the world at this. And so we want you to align with those people, because if you ever hear my podcast guest, we talk about delivering excellence to the customer. And so for me, I want all of us to deliver excellence to the government. And so that's why if you can't be the best at it, then I want you to align with someone who can be the best at it or is the best at it. And then you're going to help work with that company, Jenny J. Hope that answers your question. Tim, everything is on the website. So if you go to first 5-day challenge, it's on there. So you can just go on right on the website, and it talks about the different pricing options. So it's on there. All right. How do you handle a contract officer not responding to emails or questions about solicitations? So, T Cox, that's interesting. Uh, so the contracting officer, right? And what you're talking about, and again, this now, and by the way, these are good questions. So this goes into government contract language. Um, Technically, they can't respond to your questions about solicitations because whatever information they give you, they have to publicize it publicly to everyone. So they can't give you all of the information unless they give it out publicly to everyone. So that's like contracting 101. That would be considered illegal to do that. So they're not responding to your questions because the idea is if you're supposed to send an RFI and then they send out a document that's publicly posted so everyone has those answers. So a lot of times they're not doing anything wrong. They are just doing their jobs and making sure that everyone has equal access to the same information. So the idea is, right, is that you have to follow whatever the process is for asking questions. And then if you follow that process, then before the solicitation, before the due date, typically they'll send out an addendum with the responses to the questions. And again, I talk about federal contracting. Lucinda Moore says, are real estate services something that the government needs? So again, one of the things that we have content talks about, does the government buy what I sell? I personally do not know every single thing that the government buys. I wish I did have that type of knowledge in my brain. But Lashenda, what you can do is, right, we do have a video called Does the Government Buy What I Sell? That you can basically look that information up. Also, in our Federal Help Center, which is our free community platform here, which everyone could join. In our beginners course, we tuck you through that, right, material, and it's free, right? And it goes through answering that question of does the government buy what I sell? So I just personally don't know all aspects of it. I do know the government leases spaces, right? So they do lease office space, but how they lease it, what's the vehicles that they use, who are the companies that are getting the contracts, I don't know to what depth, right? You're welcome, DJ. Dennis, can I win a government contract to provide cleaning service without experience? Sure, Dennis, you can, but keep this in mind. The government, right, is going to choose the best vendor for the job. So, yes, you could win a contract without experience. However, remember what I said in the beginning. If you were the government, would you want to hire the person without experience to do the job? Let's just let's say that your job was to hire a cleaning service for a business, right, Dennis? Okay, and you're the government official, and your job is on the line, and you've got to choose between 5 cleaning services to hire, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to choose the guy that has no experience. Is that what you're going to do? Or are you going to say, no, I want to choose the most qualified, capable company to do the job? So to answer your question, Dennis, yes, you can get a job without experience, right? Now, to get a cleaning job without having experience, what I would recommend doing is aligning with someone that does have the experience and then having them, right, provide the credibility that I need to be able to back me up so that I can let the government know that I can perform the job with confidence. So, yes, if you hired me, I may not have experience, but my teaming partner has been doing cleaning services for 10 years, for 15 years, blah, 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 blah. And they're going to be the ones ensuring that we deliver the quality, the standard of work that you're looking for, Mr. and Mrs. Government personality. Hope that makes sense. All right. Do you recommend doing a government contract course first before doing partner challenge so we know what to get in a partner, especially if we're a brand new government contractor? Laverne, no. I don't recommend that you do the course before you do the challenge. I actually recommend that, you remember this. The course, when you buy it, comes with the challenge. So I recommend that you go through the challenge, right? And then when you finish the challenge, you're going to need more information about how to do government contracting. So the course will go and be a supplement to actually expanding on your knowledge on doing government contracting, and then you can start speaking the lingo. I'm new, but specialize in micro power platform, perhaps power automate. I set up SAM, but struggle finding contracts that align with my service I provide. Okay. So I'm not sure your question. So part of the issue here, optimal training, is that you're looking on sam.gov for contracts. And this is a very common issue that happens with a lot of the businesses that are getting started, is we go to sam.gov to find the contracts. One of the reports that I've produced in the past, I don't have it heavily because I didn't think about bringing it, shows that 58% of all government contracts have one or no bidder. So they're essentially negotiated contracts. So if your only resource is looking on sam.gov to find your government contracts, you're only seeing a fraction of what's all out there and what's being awarded. 90% of the contracts that I do with my customers are never posted on sam.gov. I just won a $5 million contract in Maine. It was never posted on sam.gov. All the stuff that we've done in Rhode Island was never posted on sam.gov. So if I were looking for contracts in Rhode Island and Maine for construction, and I'm like, dude, I don't see any construction projects, that doesn't mean they're not existing. They just were never posted on sam.gov. So when we look at different vehicles, so let me show you something, optimal training group. So when we look at best in class government contracts, when you look at that, if you just type that in anywhere, you'll see all these different vehicles that the government's using to basically buy services, buy contracts like soup. And I'm willing to bet that what you're offering is on one of these best in class vehicles that the government's already putting out. And so that you won't find it on sam.gov because it's being allocated in another government vehicle. So that's why you're struggling to see it, because the government has created 8A Stars, Alliant, Army Chest, right? They've created all of these other vehicles to buy your Microsoft Power Platform services. So if you're not on looking in any of these vehicles, which again, the task orders are not being publicized because they're not for you, because if you're not on a vehicle, you don't get them, then you don't see them. That doesn't mean you're not buying it. You don't see them. So my recommendation is you do the opposite. So what I teach people is you do the research to see where they bought this stuff, where they spent the money at, and then you can see, right, how they pursue those opportunities. Because if you're looking on saying they're not posting them publicly, that doesn't mean they're not buying them. So if you look at the historical data where they bought it, then you can see what vehicles that they use, and then you can see how you can align with some of those vehicles, which might not, yes, you might have to be registering SAM, but they're not going through SAM. They're going through one of these things here. All right. So Ashley said same thing. Research where government procures services key to having success, like other websites, GWACs, IDIQs, BPAs, etc. Right? And so that's what we talk about. Laura says, what are your thoughts on solicitation for advisors? Anything immediately comes to mind could be tricky for beginner. I don't know what that means on advisors, Laura. I'm not really sure what that means. So I'm not sure what that means. All right. What else? What else? What else? What else? All right, listen. Well, again, I did want to go about an hour. I didn't want to run over too much time. So I hope this helps some people out there. Look forward to seeing everyone in upcoming lives, upcoming videos. And so for me, like I said, just want to come on and share some insights, try to help provide some clarity for folks out there that are still a little bit confused, that are still trying to figure out their way. So I did want to do that as always. Ashley says, is there one centralized place to find all the government websites? Yeah, Ashley, I wish that's the case. There's no centralized place to find this stuff. That's why in my book, The $1 Billion Playbook, I list out a bunch of different, I think it's 80 or 90 different websites that I use in terms of helping me to do this kind of government contract stuff. But no, there is no one central place to find everything. And that's what makes it really tricky. And that's why you really have to learn how to do this, navigate the marketplace, because they don't make it easy on us. And so it is a little bit convoluted. And so that's why having mentors and experts and being part of a community of people that are doing this day in, day out can help you, Ashley, because it is not like you just go to one place and everything is there. There's no central portal. So as much as we want this to be streamlined, we haven't found a good way of doing it. So, all right, guys, listen, thank you so much. Hopefully, in fact, you know what, Ashley Spur, it may be beneficial to talk to you if Randy or someone from my team hasn't spoke to you about maybe doing some coaching for us, some classes in Federal Help Center. So Ashley Spur, let's get on my calendar and talk about how we can get you probably on Federal Help Center and do some training, coaching. And I will, let me leave with that since I did just, let me leave with that because on here, right, if you're in Federal Help Center, we're doing events every day. So tomorrow at 4, we're teaching how to do business with NASA. SAM registration, where to begin, making past performance with Tyler Rose. Getting started in government contracting, DCAA, tax considerations, capture phase. We're even teaching some classes now in Spanish. Vamos, que registros necesito. Teaming partners. So we're teaching classes each and every day inside of Federal Help Center. So again, oh, my man, Tyrell just come up there. So again, I want to plug that for everyone who's looking for a community, looking for a home to be at. We look forward to it. And also, for people who have expertise, such as Ashley Spur, who want to come on here and be a coach and a teacher to help us in facilitating some of this training that's being done for all of you great people out there. So again, as always, thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate your time, appreciate your support, and everyone have a wonderful night. Thanks. Love you guys.